Okay, so for this video, we're going to take the focus off me a little bit and talk about the resources available to you and that you're going to want to use and take advantage of, both in 798 and 799. A lot of them are the same, but we'll start here. This is at the University and the Libraries course guide, so this gives you an idea of some of the things you're going to want to use. This gives you research tips here to find your NAICS code, industry code, find information on IBIS World. We'll look at those in a bit, and some other things that you're going to want to use. Reference USA is a great tool. I'm going to show you that. Nexus Uni is a great tool. We'll look at that as well. So through this page, you can access all of these and log in with your UD website. The first one we're going to look at is IBIS World. After you establish what industry and one NAICS code that your company, your client is going to be, or define themselves as, or you define them as if they don't know, you're going to go to this site for some general information about how that industry is doing. For this, we'll look at the manufacturing industry. Manufacturing, yes, we'll go to medical device manufacturing in the US. So let's say your client is a medical device manufacturer. And with this, you're going to see a lot of different things. It kind of gives you a good snapshot. It's a really good place to start, see what's going on in the industry. You're going to want to use some of this in your research, but this will help you shape what's important. So in this, you'll see how much concentration there is in the industry, how many major players there are, what the trends are, so what's happening, what are the external factors that are either helping or hurting your client. We'll talk about previous performance, so what it's been going on, and then so market size as well. So you can see how your client is performing compared to the rest of the industry. This will look at, and you'll want to use this in your PESTG analysis, but it'll look at regulation, external pressures. This is some good revenue data here, and it kind of gives you a projected growth. So you see here, it looks like this industry is growing. This will look at the supply chain, which will be important for determining your client's value proposition, kind of the breakdown of the industry and the different segments. That'll be really important because when you get more granular into what your client actually does, you're going to want to compare it with the different segments and see where they are, how that segment is performing compared to the others. Total industry revenue. So a lot of this is the first information you're going to need, and then for the research, and then competitive landscape. So what is affecting it? What companies are winning? Profit share. These are all things that your client may be aware of, but putting this data, having this hard data in your research is just going to make your team and your report and your presentation more credible, because even if they know it already, it doesn't hurt to go back and look at some of these things. So operating conditions is the last one. So after you've determined this and after you looked at this info, you're going to want to use this in BizMiner. So these are things that you're going to use in 798 as well, but BizMiner, so going back to what industry code we were in, 33451, we'll stay on the same path. So let's say within medical device manufacturing, your client is manufacturing hearing aids. So you'll want to look at this report, and through UD, you're going to have access to this financial report. And when you do the financial analysis of your client, you're going to want to look at these reports, access this. You can see it's downloading, and then take the industry financials and compare it to your clients, see how it's performing. That'll give you really a good idea of what state they're in. Next, we're going to talk about Reference USA. Reference USA is a great resource to see just how many competitors there are. So how many businesses are doing what your client does, and then getting a geographic snapshot. So because I don't have a company name, it's harder for me to use this because it's specific, but if you look at just businesses in Ohio, and you'll see there's 503,000 results. When you have your client, it'll be easy to look at this, and then you can organize it by revenue, and you can get a little bit more granular into how many competitors there are nearby, which will help you determine what maybe strategic areas that your client should be looking into, untapped areas or with less concentration that they could move into. Some other things that you have access to is U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, Bureau of Labor Statistics, obviously local Chamber of Commerce, State and Business Journal, Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. Those are all things that can help you if your client is local and needs to know about some resources available to them. In the end, these tips are really going to be what you're going to want to follow. But I figured since those listening may not be used to using these resources, it'll help for both 758 or 798 and 799. Here's the BizMiner industry financial report for the hearing aid manufacturers. So what it looks like, it shows you business revenue over the last 5 years. What you're going to want to do with this data is put it into a compound annual growth rate calculator, all 5 of these numbers, and figure out whether the industry is growing or decreasing. So you can see here the industry is decreasing quite a bit, and then these sort of different line items will show you why. The really important one is EBITDA here. So you want to one of the first things you want to do is evaluate your client's EBITDA and see how they compare to the industry, because that's a real factor of success. Their earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. What you're also going to want to look at is net income. And gross margin, make sure your company's margins are similar. See what their problems could be, whether it's higher than average cost of sales, lower gross margin percentages, higher expenses than your average company. This will really give you a good idea. And then it does some of the ratio calculating for you here. Save you some time doing math. And then at the bottom, it actually gives you some of the key financial ratios that you're going to want to look at. Some of them being net worth as a percentage of sales, current assets, current ratio, days payable, all those things are really important, and your client will appreciate knowing where they stand compared to the industry. So here you go, EBITDA as a percentage of business revenue, really important. Some of the other things, not as much so, but days inventory could be important, especially for a manufacturing company. Current asset turnover, inventory turnover, those things, just to again see where they stand compared to their competitors. All these can be found on the University of Dayton library page as well. I think just an easy access point to all of it is right here, this course guide, where they put everything kind of together for you. There's one for 798 as well, but it has much of the same stuff. So hope this was helpful, save you some steps in looking at this information, what's going to be important, what might not be important. So hopefully you can quickly get through the research phase of the project and move into some critical thinking and the recommendations. If there's any resources I missed, lastly, wanted to talk about if you haven't already used this resource, is the right place. So as you're writing a 40-50 page report, or maybe even longer, you're gonna have grammatical errors, you're gonna have spelling errors, and yeah, you can spell check and go through, but also to kind of get some editing and to make sure there's a coherent voice throughout the paper. Great idea is to, and I would recommend doing this more than once, submitting it to the right place here on Isidore. You can go to your Isidore page, go to the right place down here and drop off a document. As it says, it takes about 48 hours to get back, but they're really helpful, open to communication. They will edit your paper, show you where they think there's some either grammatical errors, spelling errors, or disconnect in voice. Your advisor will help you with this too as you get closer to the end of the project, but the right place is really helpful, and it will save you some time, which you won't have a lot during this 10 weeks. So hope that's helpful. Again, if I missed any resources, if somebody's already taken it, feel free to comment below on what I may have missed. But again, starting with IBIS World, then comparing information on VisMinor using reference USA and Nexus Uni are all going to be very helpful, and then eventually using the right place to submit your paper. Look forward to any questions anyone may have. Thank you.